So you want to be a journalist? Well, here are some tips I think you need to consider before you can make that decision. Well, as the title card said, here are some tips for you to consider if you've decided you want to be a journalist. Now, this is a profession that really I find is from afar looks very glamorous, but it's very far from glamorous. It's a decision you should not take lightly. You should truly consider if this is the life truly for you. Now, there's definitely way more tips for anybody who wants to enter this field to consider than just the 8 I got up here. And I'm hoping that in the future I'll be able to release more tips, go further into details on this topic. But for right now, let's dive right into it. This is for somebody who maybe is in high school, or maybe is rethinking, or maybe not rethinking, but thinking of changing a career, and maybe they're legitimately thinking, maybe I'll give journalism a try. I would say this isn't specific to print, radio, TV, it's the field in general. So as I said, let's just dive right into it. The first thing on my list that I think you should consider is, why do you want to be a journalist? Is it for the money? Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, there's no money to be made in this field. Sorry to burst that bubble. Do you want glory? Again, you're not going to get it. Do you want fame? Well, you might get that, and I'm not sure that's the best reason for you to get into the field. Now, do you like to tell stories? That is something that'll definitely help you in this field, because that's what you'll be doing realistically no matter where you go. If you go to a town council meeting, a city council meeting, realistically you could be telling the story of the meeting. What was talked about? What's council deciding? If you go, it's like that in any form of government, whether provincial, territorial, federally. Telling stories that way. People may come into your office that have an interesting story to tell you about how they were treated at the vet's office, how a doctor's treated them, or maybe they did an incredible trip across the world and saw some funny things that people might like to read about. Telling stories, that's a much better reason to enter the field than some of the other things I have on this list. Now, do you want to seek out the truth? Now, this is something that I think is paramount. Journalists are trying to search for the truth. We're trying to uncover what's going on with any particular story. So if you want to tell stories and you're looking to tell the truth, these are some good ways to get into the business. If you're looking for money, a quick buck, fame, fortune, well, this ain't the place for you. Next thing, have you considered the role of a journalist? Right here. Have you considered the role? Now, we were not elected to be the watchdog of the powerful. We volunteered. But that is the exact role of a journalist. That's the role of the media. We're supposed to be the watchdogs of the powerful, which means we're the ones that are watching the powerful. We're the ones that are watching the government. We're going to see what they're doing, and we report it in our various mediums, whether it be, again, newspapers, radio, TV, internet, social media, what have you. That is our role. Is that a responsibility that you think you can live up to? Are you able to report what the facts are no matter what? Are you able to report what happened no matter what went down? I'm going to get more into those later. If you feel you can do that, well, good. If you feel you can't, well, then this isn't for you. Next, can you suppress your own opinion? Opinion, I think, is one of the most dangerous things in the media. I think there's entirely too much opinion. There's way too many people, by people I mean there's way too many journalists that give their opinion over giving the facts. Or they give their opinion on what the facts are, or they hear the facts and immediately give their opinion on why the facts are what they are. It's incredibly frustrating to watch as an insider, and I can only imagine what it's like for the viewer, the reader, the listener, what have you. Now, I imagine if it's a partisan opinion or opinion you agree with, you may be able to tolerate it a little more than if it's an opinion to which you don't agree with. or sorry, if it's an opinion you agree with, I am sure you might be able to digest it and accept it a lot more than if it's an opinion you disagree with. I apologize for misspeaking there, but still, opinion. You need to stop with your opinion. You need to be able to hold in your opinion. I'm not saying you can't have an opinion. In your social circle, you could say whatever opinion you want. But in your work, in your articles, in your coverage, in your videos, in whatever, if you're going to be a straight journalist, not a commentator, you need to suppress your opinion. If you're going to do an opinion piece that is clearly marked as an op-ed or in a column or an editorial or an opinion video, that's fine. Express your opinion all you want. But if it's not a clearly marked opinion piece, keep your opinion to yourself. Can you do that? If you can, then maybe you have what it takes. If you can't, then I'm sorry. Get up. Don't consider being a journalist. You're showing that you might not be able to be objective. Next. Now, this next one is a bit related. Not a bit related, it's pretty related. Can you be unpartisan? This is one of the things that annoys me the most in media, is where I can tell that they're acting as cheerleaders for a specific political party. This drives me nuts. I don't care what side of the political spectrum or what area of the political spectrum we're talking about. It drives me nuts. I can't stand when I see a publication or a website or a TV station or what have you. I don't care if they support the Liberal Party, or I'm going to use Canadian examples, the Liberal Party or the Conservative Party or the NDP or the Greens. If you're in the States, if they say they go for Democrats or they go Republican, it annoys me to no end. You, as a journalist, you are not campaigning for a party. If the facts of whatever story you're reporting supports the position of a political party, that's one thing. But if you're just going to write a story that is completely biased towards one party, that's not what being a journalist is about. So, if just say you deeply support one party, you think they're the best, maybe always under their leadership your family prospered, that's fine. But if you're not going to be able to criticize them or present stories that don't make them look the greatest when it's based in fact, then I don't think you should be in this business. Your loyalty needs to be wherever the facts go. If you can't do that, you shouldn't be a journalist. And partisanship is where that's going to stick out the most. My next point is also even related to opinion. Now, this is one that's probably going to shock some people, and it might ruffle some feathers, but you're not an activist. Sorry, I jumped ahead here. I'm just lumping it together because we're sticking to opinion. You are not an activist. You're not being an activist towards a cause. You're a journalist. Again, it's the same thing as political parties. You're not advocating for a cause. There are many causes out there. And if you dig into the data, you may find that this cause is not based in fact. Any of the arguments being made are not based in fact. You may deeply believe in the cause, but find there's no evidence for supporting this cause, or there's no evidence. There's nothing to say that this is a cause that needs to be addressed. And if you can't report that, then I don't think you should be in the media. Now, if you believe in a cause, you do the research and you find, okay, there's an argument to be made here, by all means, write the story. But you're still not advocating for it. You're presenting the facts. Big difference. If you can't tell that difference, you shouldn't be in the media. If you can, then believe me, give it a shot. There are too many journalists nowadays that are not just partisan, they might as well be activists. And that is dangerous for the discourse. This is dangerous in a democracy, to have journalists that aren't about objectivity. Now, the one I skipped is, are you humble? Can you admit your mistakes? This is one that I think is a tremendous deal breaker. If you are always going to try to blame somebody else for your mistakes, don't bother getting in this industry. Don't even think about it. Take whatever money you were going to spend on a college education and do something else. Study something else. If you cannot admit when you're wrong, you have no place here. Nobody likes to admit they're wrong. I get it. I don't. You don't. Nobody does. But in this business, you have to. If you report something that turns out to be wrong, you need to have the balls to issue a correction. Believe me, you will at least preserve credibility if you issue a correction. Ultimately, the goal is to not have to do a correction, to actually get the facts right the first time, or to get the facts right, period, so you don't have to do a correction. But if by chance you make a mistake, you're human, we're all human, you need to be able to correct the record. If you don't, this isn't the business for you. You're just going to hurt the industry. Now this plays in a bit with everything else. Can you be responsible? There's a tremendous responsibility with being a journalist. The reporting in the media, our reporting, helps shape public opinion. Now, I'm sure to all the people watching this, some may think that's great. Others might be horrified to hear that. Believe me, I've gone from both extremes on that one. That's a responsibility you can't take lightly, which is why you have to be objective, which is why you need to, like I keep saying, you have to admit when you're wrong, you have to stick with the facts, you have to stop with opinions, don't advocate for causes, and don't be partisan. If you're not going to be responsible, this isn't the place for you, because you can hurt society by pushing wrong information. So, my last thing, at least on this list, is, as I said earlier, it's not glamorous. It is not a glamorous industry anymore. This isn't the 50s. Chances are you're not going to be revered. You might not even be respected. We live in a completely different time. I mean, I'm not really referencing President Trump constantly talking about fake news and how the media is the enemy of the people. I'm not talking about that. Here's what I mean. You can work incredibly hard. Go over every detail in your story and your coverage and your video and your sound clip, what have you, your interviews. You could go over everything with a fine-tooth comb. You can be extra careful with your word choice. You could rethink things you feel like you're an idiot to rethink, trying to avoid any possible issue of offending anybody or any possible perceived bias, and you are still going to end up getting that call saying you screwed up, or you're completely biased to this other side, you ignored this side. There is always going to be someone that comes along that thinks you have done them wrong and are trying to destroy their lives. All because you covered something. This could be maddening, it could be frustrating. That's what I mean. It's not glamorous. It's not the 50s. You're not going to be respected. If you can handle that, you have a chance. If you can't, I'm going to say try something else. I think a lot of this needs to be talked about more, because if you look at the industry in general, with how there's less and less jobs, there's newspapers, radio stations that aren't making it, that they're shutting down, subscriptions are down, circulation's down. It has to do with a lot of this. Objectivity is key. If you can't be objective, you shouldn't be a journalist. If you can, give it a try. It can be an incredibly rewarding career if you're willing to put the work into it. Now, I just want to apologize if you're having trouble reading this. I apologize. But I hope to do, like I said at the beginning, I hope to do more in the future with more tips, more advice. If you have any, my email address is in the channel info. If you're suggesting topics or if you have any questions, please send me your questions and I can maybe plan more videos on this. I want to thank you for watching. Have a good day. Until next time. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please like the video. If you heard anything you agreed with, disagreed with, or just want to continue the conversation, please consider leaving a comment. Anyway, thank you again for watching. Please have yourself a good day.